Welcome back to my channel, viewers and subscribers. Today we're going to look at Supercrooks, which is an anime on Netflix by Mark Millar with art by Len Francis Yu. Now, Mark Millar is known for doing things like Kick-Ass. He's done other things as well. Wanted in particular, which was a film, not very good film, with James McAvoy, but it was a good comic. So he likes doing alternative takes on the superhero or supervillain genre. So let's talk Supercrooks. And as always, just before we get into Supercrooks, let me talk about filmandtvreview.com, where you can find all my written reviews of films. Link in the description below. And also check me out on the Dan Who YouTube channel on Legends and Liquor every 2 weeks on a Sunday, and also Joe's and Juice. Next one coming up is the 25th of February, or around that point, 24th, 25th of February, where we talk G.I. Joe Classified. And now let's talk Supercrooks. So in essence, Supercrooks is about the story of Johnny Bolt, who, as the series begins, is a young sort of teenage guy or young teenager who develops electric-like powers. He in essence wants to be a hero, but when he's testing his powers, an incident occurs that leads him to become down to a life of crime or to become a crook. And that's what the film is in the series is in a nutshell. It follows him recruiting a team of supervillains or being part of a team of supervillains to pull off a series of heists. So in essence, it's kind of like Ocean's 11 meets Kick-Ass. If you liked what Mark Millar did with Kick-Ass, and you want to see things from a villain's perspective or a supervillain's perspective with an Ocean's 11 type element, then Supercrooks is for you. Yeah, so overall, Supercrooks is a really fun series. As I mentioned, it sort of Mark Millar plays with the superhero genre in the same way that he does with Kick-Ass. The characters of Supercrooks are really well thought out, and the angle focuses on the villains, while the heroes of the story simply serve as vehicles to drive the villains' stories. So what I'm going to do now is give Supercrooks sort of an episode breakdown. There will be minor spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you want to go in without knowing anything, or with only knowing what I've mentioned so far, feel free to stop the video here, go and watch it, watch as much of it as you like, watch one episode, watch it all, come back and I'll sort of go through my episodes with very minor spoilers. So let's get going. So episode 1 is called Electro Boy. It's sort of Johnny Bolt's origin. He gets his electro-like powers. He wants to be a hero. He's thinking up costumes, all that kind of thing you've seen before in other superhero type films or TV series. The interesting part of this episode is when he's trying to test his powers, a freak accident occurs, which leads him down the path of being a villain. I'd say that's probably the most interesting part of the episode. The rest of it's like build up, which you've seen, in a lot of different other places, of someone gaining powers, someone wanting to be a superhero, someone testing their powers. But this is where it's interesting, when he uses powers but doesn't quite go to plan. So episode 2 features the consequences, shall we say, of what Johnny Bolt has done in the first episode. Some time has passed, and you'll see why it's related to what's happened. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say if you commit a crime, if something happens, or in the eyes of the law, you have to pay for it. So if you can think about that, he basically ends up spending time in prison or doing a prison stretch for what's happened. And episode 2 focuses on his love interest called Casey. It's called Casey. The episode's called Casey, and it focuses on meeting his love interest. So he gets out of prison. His love interest Casey's there waiting for him. He gets back to his place, and his old crew of supervillains, kind of welcome him back to freedom. And what we're seeing here is the episode sort of setting up the Ocean's 11 vibe of the series, where they want to pull a job or a series of jobs, and they want Johnny Bolt's help to do it. Episode 3 is called Man Mountain. I think this is a really fun episode. So the crooks try and pull off their heist. There's a funny notable thing I noticed. It's typical Mark Millar kind of humour in things like Kick-Ass, those kind of things. While they're trying to pull a heist, there's a part where they come out of a jewellery store that they're robbing, and they look across to the next store along, so literally the neighbour store, the opposite store, on the same street, same side of the street, and there's bank robbers, normal people bank robbers, regular people bank robbers trying to pull a heist as well. And that kind of made me think, wouldn't it be interesting if there was a series where some crooks or robbers used small-time robbers to pull off a heist, and while the police were busy with them, they pulled off a heist somewhere else. I thought that'd be interesting, but that's not what happens here. I digress. But yeah, it's a funny little thing Mark Millar puts into the episode. But in essence, what happens is two heroes try and stop our group of villains. One of them's called Man Mountain, and it kind of reminded me of vibes of One Punch Man. So a great episode. Episode 4 is called The Praetorian. This is our first glimpse into seeing a hero kind of more properly. They've been kind of background fodder in the previous episode, like episode 3. I mean, they were there, but they were kind of, again, a vehicle just to sort of tell our villain's story a bit further. Here we see the first hero kind of properly called the Praetorian. That's what the episode's called as well, The Praetorian. And it's a great... another great episode, another fun episode where you get to see the Praetorian, who's a sort of massively overpowered kind of hero, basically easily defeat our main characters, the villains, because he's got up to 200 superpowers which he can use, and they appear randomly. He doesn't know how how they're going to be used, but he's able to overcome the heroes with ease. Great episode. Episode 5 is called The Heat. This harks back to a sort of golden age, shall we say, villain who's called The Heat. I think his real name's Carmine, but it was called The Heat. He's an elderly man now in modern times, and he's planning a heist with Johnny Bolt and others. And for The Heat and Carmine and the group to carry out this heist, they need a vital member called TK. Unfortunately, TK is imprisoned on a prison plane going to the Supermax, which is a prison which holds villains. It's where Johnny Bolt was previously incarcerated in episode 2. Unfortunately, the hero, the Gladiator, is going along for the ride. Again, another massively powerful hero. I think the Gladiator is the one who fought TK and imprisoned him originally. And in this episode, he's going along for the ride. Again, another excellent episode. A bit more fun than the previous episode, I think, where you get to see our heroes kind of face off against the Gladiator and get their asses handed to them, shall we say. Episode 7 is called The Supermax. That would imply it's sort of around the prison, that the super criminals are kept in. I think it's more, again, the case of like a continuation of the story about Gladiator fighting our villains. Gladiator is eventually overcome. Just more of the same. Episode 8 is called The Union of Justice. So Carmine, the Heat, and the group he's put together plan to steal from the Union of Justice, which is the headquarters of the superheroes. A bit like if you think about the Avengers or the Justice League from DC or Marvel, this is kind of the equivalent. It does feature characters from Jupiter's Legacy. I don't know if I mentioned that, actually. If I didn't mention that, I'm going to mention it now. So characters from Mark Millar's other comic series, Jupiter Legacy, which is also on Netflix, are sort of featuring cameos in this series. But yes, you do see some of those characters, I think either in this episode or a bit later on. So some of the villains provide a distraction from the group for the heroes to leave the Union of Justice, the headquarters. The villains get there to steal something, which is like a helmet from Count Orlok, which is a villain before, who had a magical helmet. In essence, if you think about Doctor Strange, right? Doctor Strange or Dr. Fate from Marvel and DC, kind of like a villain like that. He wears a helmet like Dr. Fate. I think he's got magical powers. They want to steal that from Union of Justice. Unfortunately, they don't count on the Praetorian being left behind, so they have to face him once again. Episode 9 is called Count Orlok. Again, it's more about the heroes, or the villains, should I say, so the villains of our story running into the Praetorian, being overwhelmed to deal with him. There is a twist either in this episode or I think the next episode, which is quite good, or quite, you might see it coming, but it's quite good. My only criticism of this episode is they kind of underuse Count Orlok. I thought Count Orlok is in it, and you kind of feel like he'd be quite a good character, but he's kind of sidelined, which is a bit of a shame. But apart from that, great episode again. Episode 10 is called Carmine. It's kind of about Johnny and Casey planning a new life together, to go straight, get married, all that kind of thing. You know, give up the life of crime, but they have to rescue or help Carmine. Not a bad episode. There are some episodes which are a bit filler. This might be one of them, but yeah, not bad overall. Episode 11 is called Casino Grand Granite. This is basically Johnny Bolt's plan to help Carmine, rescue Carmine. And they plan to steal from sort of established old school villain, the Bastard, who, is kind of like an old school villain, along with the Heat or Carmine, and also Count Orlok. The three of them were kind of like old school villains together. So they plan to steal from him. You can see it's building up to like the final episodes where, you know, you're going to see them do that. There's a good twist. I thought there's a clever kind of a nice twist where they acquire the help of the hero Gladiator. So that's good. Episode 12 is called The Bastard. This is where the group plan their first stages against the Bastard, you know, in terms of robbing him. And episode 13 is called Supercrooks. So the group, led by Johnny Bolt, make their move against the Bastard. They steal from him. A great episode, lots of action, lots of, you know, fun, and a great end to the series overall. And overall, I'd say it's a great series. There are some filler moments here and there, some filler episodes, but even the filler episodes are decent. They're quite good. So let's give it a score. I'd give it a score of 4.7 to 4.8 out of 5. Yeah, that's probably a good score. Really fun. Some filler moments, but really, really good. You can watch it separately from Jupiter's Legacy, and it can be its own thing. Or if you have seen Jupiter's Legacy as well, it kind of obviously will expand the universe or the setting, or the world it's set in a bit more. But hopefully there's going to be a season 2. And now let's talk action figures. So Johnny Bolt, Casey, the Heat, Man Mountain, Praetorian, the Gladiator, Count Orlok, and the Bastard would all make great additions to an action figure line. There's plenty of background hero and villain characters, and Jupiter's Legacy characters we could also get in future waves to round out a Supercrooks action figure line. So have you seen Supercrooks? Are you tempted? Any favourite characters if you have seen it? Would you like action figures of the characters? They're very toyetic. Let me know in the comments below. As always, please like, comment and subscribe. It all helps the channel. And until next time, enjoy those flicks and figs.